You always hear these cliches where people say things like knowledge is power. And sometimes you have to think to yourself, is knowledge really power? And I was just thinking one situation where I bought a house, I had tenants, and I acquired the tenants when I purchased the property. And at that time, those tenants, they were paying $1,300 a month in rent. And that house I purchased for $50,000 at that time. And $50,000 mortgage with principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, it came out to be about roughly $600. So let's give or take, let's say I'm making about 600 and some change off of it. And I was just thinking to myself that if they understood, and mind you, I have to say that I have to let you know guys know that they were on Section 8. But I was just thinking, if they understood that they could have a cheaper monthly payment if they would have purchased the house themselves. So you always hear these cliches where people are saying knowledge is power. And you got to ask yourself, is knowledge really power? And it made me think, like, knowledge is truly power. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. And although you hear these cliches all the time, I think knowledge is really power. Just think about where we are now as far as a civilization, whereas 300 years ago, the I want to say 300 centuries ago, the technology they didn't have half the technologies that we have today, and yet they were able to do more. They were in libraries for hours, and now we're at the point where we're relying on AI to think for us. We're not activating our creativity in the brain as we once did as human beings. And did it ever cross those tenants' mind to say, let me purchase this property? And I know some people are going to say, well, maybe they had a lot of bills, they had a lot of debt, they didn't know how to go about it. And all of those factors are true. But at the same time, if they picked up a book, if they read more, they could have found the information. They spoke to the right people or just ask questions. Try to inquire. Be curious. At the time it was for sale. All they had to do was ask the owner or go to the bank and ask how much will my payments be in order to get a $50,000 mortgage. And that's all it takes. Just asking the question. But I think the problem came where they were accustomed to getting free things such as Section 8. And it's nothing, I just want to say, it's nothing wrong with those that's on Section 8. You know, if you fall into hard times and you really need it. That's that. But when your intentions is to stay on it forever, you're going to do everything within your power to keep it. And you're not going to try to elevate yourself. So instead of having a $600 payment, $600 mortgage monthly, they ended up paying me at the time 1,300. And do you think, for those of you who are thinking, and comment below too, those of you who are thinking that, hey, they didn't know, they didn't have the information. If they did, they would have took the opportunity. And maybe not, because maybe they like the fact of free, like, continue to get free money. And it's not always good. it could keep you at a certain level within your life and never elevating, because they were more afraid of losing that comfort of having their rent being paid by the government instead of owning their own home. So when they say knowledge is power, I do believe knowledge is truly power. And what sparked my curiosity into real estate goes way back when I was a kid. I want to say I was about 10. They had those infomercials, Carlton sheets, and that was wholesaling. And I really didn't understand that at the time. But I want to say the first book, and a lot of you probably read this book, but if not, the first book that really sparked my interest into real estate is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. First book. And regardless of whether or not you you like his message, I don't really pay attention to that too much. I just look for the information. Because here's the thing, you don't have to like everyone. That's fine. I'm pretty sure the people that you work with, you don't like them, but yet you still have to go to work every day. So we're not in here um, trying to debate whether or not I like someone in order to read a book. But I'm just giving you my experience as far as the first book that got me into real estate, that really sparked my interest, was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. First book, very basic. I think I read this at least 4 or 5 times already. And another problem that I think is holding a lot of people back is having the knowledge in order to weather the storm of whatever difficulties you run into if you're looking to invest in real estate. I think that's more problematic, the knowledge aspect, than finding the money, the affordability aspect. With the affordability aspect, you can always make adjustments to your lifestyle. You can adjust your cost of living. You can get a roommate. You can move in with a family member. You can reduce how much you're paying out, subscriptions. What else? Car payment. You can buy a used car. You can catch a train, catch a bus. You can always make adjustment as far as what's staying in your pocket in order to attain that house or properties. And you don't always have to go for the first property, doesn't have to be your primary residence. It could be an investment property where you're making money off of it and you're using that towards, they'll take the income towards another property and you can buy your primary residence if you choose to. But today I just wanted to touch on, is knowledge really power? And it is. It's not just a cliche, but you have to put in the work. And it's so hard when we're constantly on these devices all day just to take time out and read a book. And I'm not talking about on a tablet, actual physical hardcover book. I'm old school. Physical hardcover book. Um, I'll put the link below. You can get it on Amazon. Follow me, subscribe, like, and I will see you guys next time.